short span of the period of the State of Israel, since 1948, we've been through several wars already. During one of the wars, Golda Meir went to visit the then Prime Minister. Golda Meir went to visit the Chayalim, and she asked them if they had any questions. The Yom Kippur War was not a very good war for the Jewish people. A lot of people were killed. And one of the soldiers said, I have a question. And he said, my father was killed in the War of Independence, and we won. And my uncle, he says, was killed in 1956, and we won. And my brother lost an arm in 1967 in the Six-Day War, and we won. And he said, last week, I lost my friend. And he said, I know we're going to win the war. But my question for you, to the Prime Minister, is it worth it? We keep winning, but is it worth it? Are all these losses worth it? Are all these sacrifices worth it? And Golda Meir looks at him and she says, as an individual, maybe not. If you were to ask me if the sacrifice for yourself is worth it, I'm not sure. But if you understand that the sacrifices we're making are for the nation, are for the Jewish people, not only that are alive today, but for every Jew that ever lived, so then I have no question in my heart, she says to him, that it's worth it. I can't say that myself. I'm not one who has made sacrifices on that level. But I want to read you part of a letter that Dov Gruner wrote to Menachem Begin. Dov Gruner was a soldier for the Irgun, and he was captured by the British, and he was tried and he was hanged. And the day before he was hanged, he wrote a letter to Menachem Begin, and part of the letter he writes as follows. He writes, what pains me now that the end is near is mainly the awareness that I've not succeeded in achieving enough. I too could have said, let the future take care of the future, and meanwhile enjoy the life and be contented with the job I was promised on my demobilization. I could have even left the country altogether for a safer life in America, but this would not have satisfied me either as a Jew or as a Zionist. And he writes, and he said in his trial, he explained that what he's doing for the Jewish people, and therefore for himself, it's not even a question. And he concludes, I'm writing this as I'm awaiting the hangman, and this is a moment which I cannot lie. I swear that if I had to begin my life anew, I would have chosen the exact same path. There's two aspects to Yom Hazikaron. One of them is understanding that we're part of something greater than ourselves. We're part of the nation of Israel. When the siren goes off, there's going to be more than 6 million Jews standing around the country at attention. That's the first aspect. The second aspect is tomorrow and tonight, when you hear about all these great people who sacrificed tremendous things for the good of the Jewish people, it's to ask ourselves, what did they sacrifice for, and do we want to be part of that? My cousin Hillel Lieberman was killed about 15 years ago at the beginning of the Intifada on his way to the yeshiva in Od Yosef Chai in Kever Yosef. And I want to read to you a quote that he wrote on the day that he made Aliyah. I'm going to translate most of it. Ineni yodea kama dorot avru me'at shel Lieberman hacharon haya chai be'eretz Yisrael. He writes, I don't know the last time someone in my family, someone in my line of blood was in the land of Israel. Maybe not since the Chorban Habayis has someone from my family returned. V'nei hayom shavti l'Tzion lo ani Lieberman haprati ki im ben beno shel oto Yehudi. Not me as an individual am I standing here, he writes, but I'm the descendant of the same Jew, and every single Jew in the Holocaust and the Crusades since the Beis HaMikdash, who davened and yearned for the land of Israel. And us sitting in this room right now, we're the answer to the tefillos of every single Jew that davened for us to return to the land of Israel. And we need to understand what we're part of, and we need to ask ourselves the question that Dov Gruner posed in his letter to Menachem Begin: are we going to let the future take care of the future? Or are we going to decide and think, how can we be part of that future? How can we make our family's history one with the history of the Jewish people? When the siren goes off, we'll have a few minutes to contemplate that, to think, to see tomorrow all the people that sacrificed and gave, and decide what would we be willing to sacrifice for? How much would we be willing to sacrifice for something? What are we going to do for the future of the Jewish people? And in doing so, the past and the present as well. And when we can answer that question, we can go into Yom Ha'atzmaut and celebrate with the rest of Klal Yisrael into Yom Yerushalayim together with the rest of the nation.
We're about to stand silent. Silence